8.25. These people know why I am saying 8.25. So these classes were conducted. Within that, I tried to bring them to this level, and they need one more class that I'll be conducting for them on Tuesday at 8:30. I'll notify that also once again for their recall. So we were here when the class was conducted for the entire MBA, all the three groups. So once we prepare, I'll give you a quick recap. Once we prepare a financial statement in the form of profit loss account and balance sheet, we need to analyze that. We need to critically examine what is the financial health of the company, what is the profitability between two or more than two companies, which one is better, which one is a good bet for the investment, which one is good for, there are several things that we can do if we analyze the financial statement. You would realize now you can analyze something only if its background is clear to you. Unless you know what these statements are, what is the process through which these have been compiled, what are the conventions, procedures that these people would have followed, the analysis is not possible. Mathematically, you can analyze. Mathematically, anything can be compared with anybody, any percentage can be calculated, a system will do. But understanding those answers, understanding those outcomes, 10 divided by 20, it is 0.2, or 10 multiplied by 50, it is 500. But what does 500 mean? That you will be able to understand only if the background prior to compilation of these statement is clear to you. That is why we have spent about 22 hours in that. Now we are into analyzing these. To analyze financial statements, some rationale was explained to you. So because these people are joining for the first time, so rationale to analyze the financial statement is, because if you simply read the figures, they will not tell you any meaning. They will be rather misleading. So we need to know which figures are to be compared with which figure. Because if I just make a statement that company assets have crossed 1,000 crore mark, just I'm making a statement, a company ABC, in any company, its assets as on date have crossed 1,000 crore mark. Do you draw any impression about the company? It is good or bad or something?
No, sir. Not yet.
No, sir.
Yes, unless
No,
we
sir.
know. For example, what all we should know?
So the liabilities of the company which
Liabilities,
will
profit,
Correct, number one, liability. Number two,
capital,
capital. Okay.
profit,
Profit,
expenses,
expenses. You can name
revenue.
300 any numbers. When you continue naming them, like you have named capital, someone has sold profit, someone like this, you continue. Suppose I say the statement was that assets have crossed 1,000 crore mark. And suppose somebody has said, we know that it has paid 1 crore rupees on insurance premium. So this is slightly not related. It doesn't matter how much insurance premium does it pay. But if you know that its profit is 100 crore, then only we can say, yes, profit is 10% of assets, or assets are generating 10% profit. So we have to see the related figures. Likewise, there are several issues that we shall cover in these details. So there are techniques using which we can analyze those statements. So these techniques I have just listed here. Each we shall discuss in a detail. Let me say, so the question that I asked, the sales, 2,50,000. So as on date, as of now, A seems better than B, but no conclusion can be drawn, because if you look at another slide, same thing, sales this much, but we have added another figure, profit. So which one is better now? A is better than B, or B is better than A?
So B is better.
Because
Its profit is 12%.
okay. Now look at the first slide once again. Right now, what is the impression?
A is better.
A is better.
A is better.
Correct. Very true. Now, the moment we add further information, we have just got two information. So you can have 20 information, 30 figures. So if we analyze all those figures and see which figure are related, we are in a better position to take a decision. Look at another one more figure. What is your conclusion now?
A is better.
So B is better.
B is better, sir.
So B is better.
Why B is better? Because Because you see, this answer is fine. B is better, but it is not the correct. It's not the complete answer unless we know why. What are the reasons for this?
Because sir, we
Because
cannot figure
one
because
is
we cannot
We
figure out
cannot
Minimum
do
the
the
one
assets, he
as
uses maximized
One second.
profit.
One second, Karatika.
sir, as per the accounting equation, we cannot figure out what are the
Okay,
capital and what
any
is the
correct.
liability.
So one cannot conclude. Any other answer?
So we do not know the liabilities of company B. What are
Okay,
the
we don't know the
liabilities?
liability of company. Therefore, you say that which one is better. You cannot take a decision.
Yes, sir.
Any other answer? Fine. Even if these two, three answers
Sir,
are,
the
huh? Hmm?
sir, the percentage of the assets owned by company B is more than company A. That's why I guess.
That's why, okay. You all may be having your own logic and reasons for arriving at a conclusion. We will see in the next few classes, okay, which one is correct and how do we decide. Right now, still no definite answer can be given. Just temporary, or maybe for the time being, the answers can be given. We make another, I put before you additional information about the liability. Then what do you decide?
So B is better.
Sir,
So B is
the B
better.
is better. Still, we
B
will
is
say
better.
B is better.
B is better. Why B is better?
So because as per the capital invested, sale is more. Profit
Okay,
is more.
okay,
That is the reason.
okay. Answer from anyone else?
Sir, if I do a comparison between liabilities and assets, then A is better because the
Okay.
liabilities are half of assets. Whereas in case of B, the ratio comes around 3 to 5.
Any reaction from anyone of you who answered it recently?
Sir, Arma.
Arma. Okay. Any reaction to what Arma has said? A is better because of the reasons she cited.
Yes, sir,
Sir,
because
if
company has 25,000
You
capital as well to pay off
just
liabilities.
one sec. You agree with what Arma said.
Yes, sir.
Anyone who does not agree with her?
सर अगर हम सर
I
सबको
do
मतलब
not
एक
think.
साथ में लेके चले,
दुष्यंत तुम बोलो हाँ.
सर अगर सबको साथ में लेके चले तो बी बेटर लग रहा है.
क्यों?
सर इसमें मतलब एसेट और लाइबिलिटीज के कंपैरिजन में बी
Okay,
बेटर है
let me give
और
you
प्रॉफिट भी इसमें ज्यादा दिखा है.
just one second. Let me once again remind, has each one of you entered your roll numbers?
Yes, sir.
If somebody still has not, kindly mention in the format like you are writing M192, M110. Within bracket, you need not write because we have already codified that M stands for MBA and H stands for MH. All right, so we continue. No, what I was advising you, right now you are saying B, A, C deal out of several. But before you arrive at a conclusion, think that or assume that you will be making either an investment in these companies, or you will be joining these companies, or some stake is involved. If I tell you on a piece of paper, write 1 crore, you will write in a second 100,000. If I ask you to take out 100 rupees from your purse, you will think for some time at least before you take out, isn't it? So the discussion should happen as if you will be adversely or favorably affected. Otherwise, क्या होता? Everybody can say, I'll invest in A. But if I really ask you to invest, assume that I'm really asking you to invest. Assume that you have actually joined this company. Assume that you will actually take a decision after the analysis, which will be affecting you as an individual.
Yes, sir.
And then only you will be doing with lot of concentration. One thing perhaps I shared with only MHA people, now I'm sharing with you also. I gave them an assignment. They calculated, equation value like you calculated earlier. For some reason, some 3-4 wrong answers were posted by me. Not deliberately, but by mistake. The correct answer was 100, but I wrote as 200. By any reason, some mistake on my part. So they started asking me the clarification, and genuinely so they should. Why did they ask the clarification? Because they thought it will cost them. They will lose 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark. So they really concentrated. And then they thought, during the process, I speak so many sentences, I write several things. but because these do not matter for you, so you just ignore them. So you should concentrate the way it is going to affect you. Then only your learning will improve. Then only you will, realize it. Okay. Although there is something which is beyond this learning also, which I will explain once we have time. Right now, we are short of time. We wish to see how timely we can complete your course without rushing through, because now we are hardly left with March, first something like that, 1st April or something is your last working day. Like this, we keep on adding information, and you will have your own reason, your own justification. So in the coming several classes, we will see how technically, using accounting conventions, using accounting concepts, using accounting knowledge, technically how can we assess or evaluate a company. So this part will begin up in few classes to come. So we go to some techniques of financial statement analysis. First 2-3 techniques are very simple. For example, look at this one, known as common size statement. There are 3 techniques, rather 5 techniques I have mentioned there. In the previous slides, I have mentioned 5 techniques. I'll just quickly show you. These are the techniques: common size statement, comparative statement, trend analysis, ratio analysis, and funds flow analysis. So these are 5 techniques which we shall use to assess financial health of a company. In this part, I am explaining you the first one, common size statement. The word says common size. What are you doing? You are bringing all the figures to a common size. You are bringing all figures to a common size. When I say common size, I mean you are converting them into percentage. If you see 110 and 170, which one is better? Naturally, 170 is better than 110. It's
Yes, sir.
just for example, if I if I tell if one of your friend has obtained 700 marks and you have obtained 800 marks, who did better?
So we
You,
cannot figure it out because we do not know the total marks.
you do not know the total marks. Exactly. So similarly, merely saying that company has sold, A has sold for 110 rupees and B has sold 170,000 rupees, we cannot decide. Now, what do? If we have a common denominator, sorry, not denominator, a common figure, based on that, we can take a decision. If I tell you that you have obtained 70% marks and your friend has obtained 69%, so you have done better than him. So now we are bringing all the figures to a common percentage. So what is being done? Let us say of 1,10,000, what is this percentage? What is this percentage? What is this percentage? Anything, any figure can be taken, and we can say that this is 1,10,000. Perhaps I think I have wrongly written. It should be 100. It was wrongly written. 100 and 170, because only then it will be 10%, 100%, 60%, 5%, 1%, and 10%. All these expenses and everything has been converted into percentage. Now, if we see that profit in case of A is 10% and profit in case of B is also 10%. Something wrong somewhere. No. No, that's what I'm saying. Some calculation mistake is there somewhere. So what you do, you must be having a calculator right away with you. Calculate percentage, or maybe let me take these to Excel and I'll calculate it immediately. Just give me a minute. These figures, and we'll need to calculate it with respect to 170. Just 1 minute. We may just 1 second. I am opening Excel file, and we can calculate the percentage of all these things with respect to the total figure of 170. That is okay. First figure is 25,000, and what is?
Sir, in company A, sales return is not deducted from 1 lakh.
Just one second. Let me once again go back to this one. Okay, that is why it was okay. Fine. It was 1,10,000 originally. From 1 lakh 10, if we deduct 10,000, then it becomes 1 lakh. Fine. So from 170, if we deduct 25, it is 140. Good, you have pointed out. This was the reason for the differences that we were observing. Okay, now 145 and 14,500, it is a 10%. So total expenses, if you see 90,000, total expenses, if you see here 1 lakh, 30,500. So even a total percentage, we can 90%, 90%. Here it is 1%, here it is 1.14%. So what we are doing, we are bringing all these figures to a common value, and then if we say that our profitability in case of B is 10%, profitability in case of A is also 10, at this stage both are equal. Both are equally either good or bad. But if you look at say percentage, the purchase, does it give you some thing to take a decision, or something to investigate, or something to some benefit here? See, I'll tell you initially.
Still not like on the basis of purchases we cannot figure out what the company is.
I'll explain. Initially, I'll explain. Later on, you can decide. Company A is spending 60% of its sales revenue on purchases. Company B is spending 55% of its sales revenue on purchases. So, which is managing its purchases better?
Company B.
B.
Yes.
B.
B. So that means there is still a possibility for company A to improve upon its purchase department. Maybe it is buying in bulk, maybe it is availing cash discount, maybe it is buying much in advance so that it negotiates price better than B. Something like that can be done. Similarly, if you look at office expenses, how much is A spending on office expenses?
2,000.
2,000.
No. But 2,000 will be, 2,000, 4,000. A will be better than B. So 2%.
2%.
How much is B spending?
2.76%.
That means A is managing its office expenses better compared to B.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
How
Yes,
about
sir.
rent?
Yes, sir.
How about rent?
So 6% in
6%.
case of
6
A
and
and
4.14.
4.14% in case of B.
So what we can say that A is still staying in an expensive accommodation or expensive office, while B is managing its office expenses, its office rent in a better way compared to
A.
Like this. There can be several things which give one company over another company an edge, and the competitors can think how do we improve about it. So this was just merely a case of using it through a financial statement. Nothing very what you call complicated about it. It's something very, very simple. Another technique. Yes.
Sir, I fail to understand why the net sales of B is 100%.
Okay. We are calculating all these things with respect to 1 lakh. How much is 1 lakh of 1 lakh?
100%.
That's all. We are taking one figure as a base, and with respect to that figure, we are calculating percentage.
Yes, sir.
How much 60% is of 1 lakh? 60,000 is 1 lakh? 60.
60%.
These all figures are with respect to this thing. Secondly, do you get any idea? Do you get anything about what is your observation at serial number 2? What is this observation at serial number 2?
Sales return, the things that we have sold that have returned.
Okay.
So company B is selling more defective products, we can say.
Yes. This is what I wanted to hear from you. As many as 17% people, or 17% of the sales made for B is returned, compared to 10% in case of A. Recently, I bought these, these bulbs. Earlier it was CFL. Now what it is? This. No. What is the
LED.
LED. I bought from a shop from which I regularly buy. So just like that, I asked him what are the brands. He told Philips, this and that. So usually I took Philips. Then I asked him, how about the Crompton? Well, no, sir, don't take this, because I have been doing it for the past 20-30 years. So what he suggested, in case of Crompton, as many as 30 to 45% return is there. In case of, this flips, hardly 2 to 3% return is there. So the idea of, sharing this information with you is that if you keep your ears and eyes open and your observation, you can learn so many things, not necessarily subject to accounting as such. It was an additional information. So naturally, B needs to improve upon its product. Why
Yes, sir.
17% people are returning,
Yes, sir.
and why not? To like this, you have to observe. Now we go to the next technique, comparative statement. What is the difference between two slides? One that you see here, and the other slide that you see here.
So in the second one, we are able to compare the figures with another company, and in the first one, we were like taking into account. We were just we were assuming comparing on the particular matter.
Any other answer? Okay. Ideally, when we say comparative statement, it is also possible that instead of writing here A and B, isn't it? We can write here just example 2020 and 2021. 2 years if we compare, in this year sales was so much, and in this year sales is this much. So we can compare 2 years data. We can compare two firms. Both are possible. One comparing two firms, another comparing same firm over two different time frame. Again, merely comparing 230 and 450 is not enough unless we convert them to a common denominator, a figure. In 2020, profit was 17%, and in 2021, profit is just about 8%. Then, by what margin sales increased from this year to that year, something like that can be done. No great involvement. I will once again, reword this slide. So for the time being, just leave this one. It needs a little bit of improvements. I'll come back to that slide after some time, maybe tomorrow itself. So just finalize this slide here. This is to be improved upon, then we will share, and we come to the third technique. It's not a fast driving because first two were very, very simple. We also can analyze the financial statement of a company using, just one second, the trend percentage. Now open page number 78 of the material that I gave you. Page number 78. What do you see there on page number 78?
So 10-year financial summary.
Okay. You see financial information of, yes, what do you see?
So 10-year financial summary.
10 years financial. So what, apart from seeing 10 years financial, what are they, what has been finally shown there? They are showing it in terms of percentage over a period of 10 years. But if we wish to see what is the difference between 1981 and 1990, what do?
So
They have shown changes in 1982 over 1981, changes in 1983 over 82, similarly changes in 1990 over 1989. My question is, if you wish to see what changes have taken place in 1990 compared to 1981, what do we do?
So we will compare figures of 1990 with respect to 1981.
Okay. What will it indicate? What has happened over 10 years, or it will just show you the difference between 10 years? Between 10 years and over a period of 10 years. You see the difference between these two words?
So it will tell us about
between 10 years.
What is more, just hold on. What is more important? Changes
So over the period.
Over the period.
Over
Yes.
the period is more important.
Over the period is more important. You are right. Then what do we do? Over the period, what do? We need to find out the cumulative growth. annual cumulative growth or compound annual growth. You see, this is exactly equal to your CGPA that you will get at the end of 4th semester. If you are happy about your SPA, it doesn't matter what percentage have you got in semester 1 or semester 2 or semester 3. At the end of the day, how will your final grades be counted?
So on the basis of cumulative percentage.
CGPA. So similarly, in case of company also, we are therefore you calculate compound annual growth. A simple statistical formula is there. Use that formula and calculate. That tells you what is happening in the company or what has happened in the company over a period of 5, 6, 7, 10 or any number of years. At times we resort to different percentages, at time common size statement, at time comparative statement. Using these three techniques, which are not a big deal, which has got even nothing to do with accounting as such, purely mathematical concepts, calculating a percentage, calculating a cumulative percentage, and that is a simple mathematical calculation that you can carry out, and then you can find out the financial position of the company. Now here comes the real financial analysis that we shall be doing using. Take the picture of this slide.
So can you zoom in? Like, can you increase the size?
Just one second. Is it fine now?
Yes, sir.
Just one second. Last three figures may not be visible. Now is it everything is visible clearly?
Yes, sir.
Or doesn't matter. You just tell me. I'll just somebody can remind me. I'll post it in the Google Classroom or WhatsApp. I have got these things with me, so I'll take a copy. It's PDF. This particular slide I'll post it also. Okay. Now you have taken this picture. We analyze the financial statements using ratio analysis. We calculate various ratios. After calculating several ratios, we come to know about the financial health of the company. Now we start with the meaning of ratio. The meaning of ratio is known to every one of you. I need not explain what a ratio is. You calculate, a percentage of, not percentage, two figures and see how do they behave. 3:2. If something is 2, other is, if something is 3, other is 2. Then 6:4. If something is 4, other is 6, other is 2. Just like a simple ratio that you calculate, relationship between two figures, how do they move, what happens in, and then. So if you are to calculate ratios of accounting figures, how many ratios can be calculated? If you wish to calculate a ratio, how many ratios can be calculated?
So n numbers we can't
N
determine.
Numbers, you're right, n numbers. How many figures usually could be there in the profit and loss account? On credit side you have income, debit side you have expenses. How many heads could be there? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Let us say 50 heads. Just let us assume that 50 heads are there on both sides of profit loss account. How many heads will be there in balance sheet? Assume another 50. So in all there are 100 heads of accounts. So if you have 100 heads of accounts and you want to calculate ratios using those 100 heads of account, how many ratios can be calculated?
50.
So 100 factorial.
Factorial
100 factorial, 100 factorial.
100 factorial.
100 factorial.
100 factorial. And what will be the answer like? If I start putting zeros, this screen will not be sufficient, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
फैक्टोरियल 100 को अगर हम कंप्यूटर से कैलकुलेट करें, एक्सेल में कर सकते हैं, नहीं कर सकते?
नहीं कर सकते
जी।
Yes, sir.
एक्सपोनेंशियल के टर्म में आ जाएगा।
एक्सपोनेंशियल के टर्म में आ जाएगा। अगर हम अपने सेल जी ओके, यानी कि हम कुल मिला के बोल नहीं सकते। पर्पस ये है इसका कि देन we need to limit our calculations. That is, comparing figure A with B is to be limited. It cannot be infinite. But how do we limit? That means the two related figures only should be compared. I am stressing this statement once again. Two related figures only should be compared. Figures which are unrelated or relating them or calculating it mathematically will give us no results. Mathematically, we will get the results, but we cannot think over them. We cannot take any decision based on the mathematical figure. Those figures should not be compared. Now let us take some examples. Which two figures, any two figures do you think are related or should be or can be compared or a ratio can be calculated? Sales to profit, let us say sales to profit. If sales is 100, profit is 10, so you can say 100 is to 10 or 10 is to 1 or 10%. So it gives us some meaning. Tell us an example of highly unrelated figure. Mathematically.
So wages and closing stock.
Yes, very, very good. Wages and a closing stock. It hardly matters. Ratio will be there. Wages are 10,000, closing stock is 1,000, 10 is to 1. But what decision can you take based on that? What inference can you draw?
Sunil.
You can draw. You cannot draw any, inference on that. Okay. Now I am just writing a question. Write your roll. The format remains the same. You write your roll number. In case of Ranjit and Azim, you have not, you have created a space between the two. B226 F113. There should have been no space. You understand, because these things, if these are automated, the 226 will not come before 225. It will be misplaced somewhere else. But anyway, let it remain like this. Now, later on, just write in the, okay, the question I was asking, write your roll number followed by as many, write your roll number and write your roll number followed by as many unrelated figures as you can think of. These two examples, but this one example, like, you can include this also, whosoever has said, write it as fast as you can. Like closing stock and wages. Don't write closing stock and salaries. It will mean the same thing, isn't it? Unrelated. Yatendra, you have just mentioned your roll number. Did you join it now or you wanted to write something?
It's because of some mistakes, sir.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Wages and closing stock. Hayyan, you also joined late or you want to write something? Now, Anam has written 156 wages and closing stock. Before you write 156.
Sir, by mistake, I was writing more. I suddenly pressed enter.
No. Before 156, you should have written your M or H or B, isn't it? Like Arma has written N153, correct? Followed by wages and salaries, rent and salaries, correct? Rent and purchase return, wages to depreciation, profit to carry charges, closing stock and salaries, sales return and wages, sales and assets. No. Anyway, you continue. I'm saying some of those relationships are necessary, are good. You can take certain decisions, but you don't be disheartened. Continue writing. Closing stock and salaries, profit and rent, wages and, see what difference it will make if you write rent and salaries and rent and wages. You are merely changing. Anyway, you continue. Each one of you should try to participate. Okay. So we have to purchase and rent, salaries and rent, wages and salaries. Okay, somebody has written sales and assets. Are these two figures irrelevant or they are relevant to be compared to?
So relevant.
They are relevant. Why are they relevant? Because assets are your resources and sales is an outcome of those resources. your performance will be judged not only based on your own efforts, but also based on the resources provided to you. If there are two sales boys, one is asked to roam around on his foot and then go and sales, and one is given a bike. Who is expected to produce more?
So the one who is on bike.
The one who is on bike. So you cannot simply compare the performance of two salesmen ignoring the resources provided to you. Somebody is getting 10% commission and somebody is getting 5% on the same product, same territory, same thing. Who is expected to sell more? One who is giving
More commission.
more commission, or one who is getting less commission should sell so much that he exceeds the commission taken by 10% boy. Okay, doesn't matter. These are just example I'm asking. What is important is looking at the performance of somebody, taking into consideration the resources provided to him. All right. So we need to find out the relationship between two figures, that is calculate a ratio, keeping in mind two relevant figures. Now, how do we decide which figures are relevant? We can group them in an order which is need based. That is, who out of various stakeholders, who uses what, who would be interested in what, because not everybody would be interested in everything. So we have classified it. This classification is based on the accounting users of accounting information, and we have classified them into some categories. First category is liquidity ratio, second category is activity ratio, third category is profitability ratio, and fourth category is capital structure ratios. Within these four categories, all users of accounting information, all stakeholders of the company would be covered. What we shall do, we will start with the first one, liquidity ratio. Who are the people who are interested in liquidity? What all do we calculate? How do we calculate? All these things will be covered under this heading. So in liquidity classification, under main heading of liquidity, we shall be calculating four different ratios. First one will be current, then quick, then defensive interval, then debt service coverage. I'll start with the first one, quick ratio. Current ratio.
Current ratio.
Current ratio. So this ratio, with respect to this ratio, with respect to each one of these, I'll be explaining to you, number one, meaning of this ratio. Number two, who are the party interested in calculating these ratios. Next, how do we calculate? Which figures are divided by which figures? How do we interpret these? And if possible, also what is the industry average? What is the norm? Which particular ratio or which particular range is considered as comfortable or better or best or good or bad or whatever. So current ratio, as the main heading of current ratio suggests, liquidity, talks about the financial solvency of the company in short run. Which one? Short run, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, in any case less than 1 year. So if somebody is interested in knowing the short-term liquidity of a company, short-term solvency of a company, then one can look for the entire group of liquidity ratios, and once the ratios are calculated, one can decide whether the company is good enough in the short term or not. Who will be interested in evaluating the short-term liquidity or short-term solvency of the company?
Suppliers.
Supplier, okay. Supplier, okay. Any other person? You are right, supplier. Yes, short-term, very true. Short-term loan provider like bank. Okay, somebody is asking what is solvency, correct. So
People who are interested in investing in the company.
जी दोबारा कहो.
So people who are
माइक नहीं काम, दोबारा कुछ गड़बड़ कर रहा. People who are.
So I was saying that people who are interested in investing in the company will also look at the current ratio of the company.
Sure. आप एक कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करना चाहते हो तो आप करंट रेशियो देखोगे, ये देखोगे कंपनी 5 साल बाद कहां पहुंचेगी, 4 साल बाद कहां पहुंचेगी.
So we will like look
So दोनों देखेंगे.
look the
Current
status.
में
दोनों ही देखेंगे.
the example you all have given are correct, except that one who is interested in investing in a company on long-term basis will not bother about the current financial health of the company. Currently कंपनी की हेल्थ खराब भी हो सकती, लेकिन बट यू सी ए फ्यूचर ऑफ कंपनी के फ्यूचर में कंपनी बहुत अच्छा करेगी, तो पीपल विल स्टिल इन्वेस्ट. आप एज ए प्रोस्पेक्टिव एम्प्लॉई ऑफ द कंपनी, आप एक कंपनी में ज्वाइन करना चाहते हैं, विल यू बी मूव्ड बाय इट्स करंट फाइनेंशियल हेल्थ और यू विल लुक एट ए लॉन्ग टर्म
फाइनेंशियल स्टेटस.
राइट लॉन्ग टर्म में फाइनेंशियल हेल्थ क्या होगी, कितना हम यहाँ ग्रो करेंगे, वगैरह वगैरह. somebody asked before I move on, let me explain to him what is solvency. क्या होती है solvent, sorry, insolvency किसे कहते हैं, insolvent किसे कहते हैं?
Which is not soluble, sir.
वो साइंस का जवाब आपका बिल्कुल ठीक है.
और जब बैंक किसी को
Well,
कि अब पैसे
insolvent
when we unable to pay or due.
yes, दिवालिया.
Or when unable to pay the liabilities.
yes, you are unable to pay the liability. unable to pay का मतलब कब तक? अगर आपने किसी से 100 रुपए उधार लिए, उसने कहा पे कीजिए, बोले हाँ मैं पे कर दूंगा आपको 20 साल में 2 पैसे के हिसाब से दे दूंगा, तो पे तो आप कर रहे हैं. अनेबल टू पे द लायबिलिटी व्हेन एवर इट इज ड्यू, उस आदमी को आप क्या कहेंगे? दिवालिया. इंसॉल्वेंट किसे कहते हैं? दिवालिया हो जाना. दिवालिया का मतलब आप पर कर्ज है और आप पे नहीं कर पा रहे, उसको क्या कहते हैं? इंसॉल्वेंट. तो सॉल्वेंसी क्या हुई? उसका जस्ट अपोजिट. whenever your dues are due, whenever you're on due date, you are in a position to clear. आपको जितना पे करना है ड्यू डेट या ड्यू डेट से पहले आप पे करने की पोजीशन में हैं. तो दैट कंपनी इज कंसिडर्ड एज सॉल्वेंट और लिक्विड और फाइनेंशियली सॉल्वेंट. एंड कंपनी विच इज नॉट इन ए पोजीशन टू पे हिज लायबिलिटीज ऑन टाइम व्हेनेवर दे आर ड्यू, कंपनी विल बी कॉल्ड एज इनसॉल्वेंट. उसका दिवालिया निकल गया. ये तो सुना होगा ना आपने वर्ड.
Yes, sir.
ठीक. तो दिवालिया हो जाना अच्छी बात है या अच्छी बात नहीं है?
अच्छी बात नहीं है.
अच्छी बात नहीं. ठीक है. अनएथिकली बहुत से लोग जानबूझकर अपने आप को दिवालिया डिक्लेयर करते हैं ताकि उनको क्रेडिटर्स को पैसा न देना. दे मैनिपुलेट देयर अकाउंट्स इन सच ए वे. देखिए, आपने किसी को क्रेडिट पर सेल किया, 100 करोड़ का आपने सेल किया, बट यू हैड एन इनफॉर्मल अनरिटन अनएथिकल एग्रीमेंट विद दैट पर्सन कि यू डोंट पे मी, यू पे मी थ्रू सम इनडायरेक्ट मेथड, मेरे स्विस बैंक में जमा कर देना, यहाँ मत दो मुझे. उसने मना कर दिया पे करने से. आप कोर्ट में गए कि भाई देखिए 100 करोड़ मेरा इस पर आदमी पर था, इसने पे नहीं किया, तो मुझे जिनको 80 करोड़ पे करना, मैं कहाँ से पे करूँ? कोर्ट में केस चला. कोर्ट ने आपको, आपसे मुराद किसी की भी एग्जाम्पल ले लीजिए, आप बुरा ना माने, किसी को भी कोर्ट ने डिक्लेयर कर दिया दिवालिया और उसको कहा कि साहब ठीक है 100 रुपये में से 10 रुपये आप इनको पे कर सकते हैं क्योंकि इतनी आपके एसेट्स. 100 करोड़ का लोन था, उसने 10 करोड़ पे कर दिए और 90 करोड़ बचा लिए. वो 90 करोड़ उसने मैं वहाँ स्विस बैंक में जमा कराएंगे. ये सारे अनएथिकल प्रैक्टिसेस से. तो दिवालिया होना भी इतना आसान नहीं है. गवर्नमेंट वांट एटलीस्ट ऑन पेपर वांट्स टू इंश्योर कि वाकई में ये रिसीवेबल जो है इसके वो बैड डेट हो गए कि नहीं हुए, इसने कोशिश भी की पैसा लेने की कि नहीं की. ओके, नाउ वी मूव ऑन टू, वी कैलकुलेट करंट रेशियो. No, sorry, liquidity ratios. Within liquidity ratio, there are 4. So I'll just give you a brief idea about the current ratio. Current ratio measures your short-term solvency of a company. And in order to measure the short-term solvency of a company, what do? We decide current. Just one second. This we can leave. We divide current assets by current liabilities. Current assets को current liabilities से हम divide कर लेते हैं. अब you should know what are current assets and you also should know what are current liabilities. ठीक है ना? तो सारी टोटल एसेट्स को, करंट एसेट्स को ऐड कर लेंगे, टोटल करंट लाइबिलिटीज को ऐड कर लेंगे, एक को दूसरे से डिवाइड कर देंगे. योर आंसर विल बी योर करंट रेशियो. यू टेक वन मोर स्मॉल टास्क. यू सी 3 firms here, A, B and C. Write your roll number and see and write in the chat box which firm you see is better in your opinion, which one is better. Don't write all 3. Just write your roll number and either C or B or A. My question is clear? Write your roll number. Okay. Someone is writing C. Just do it as fast as you can. आप लोग तो ऐसा है कि आप सब लोग जो केबीसी में नहीं होता, क्या कहलाता है, ऑडियंस पोल, आपने अब तो केबीसी में ख्याल से बंद हो गया ना, खत्म हो गया, अब तो नहीं आ रहा।
No, sir.
नहीं सर अब नहीं आ रहा।
ऑडियंस पोल के हिसाब से हर एक ने सी लिख दिया। कोई बात नहीं, आई मीन मे नॉट बी ओके। नाउ बिफोर आई क्लोज, हैज एवरीबॉडी रिटन? आप चेंज तो नहीं करना चाहते अपना ओपिनियन?
Sir, I'll take a minute for just realizing it.
क्या कहा आपने? दोबारा कहो प्रातिका।
Like I was saying, like I'm still trying to figure out. That's why I haven't written. So I take another 30 seconds to do that. Will it be feasible, sir?
I think okay. By the way, अब आपने चेंज करना शुरू कर दिया, ए लिखना शुरू कर दिया। देखो, मैंने इससे पहले क्लास शुरू होने से पहले क्या कहा था? ये कहा था कि आप जो अपना आंसर लिखें ये सोच के लिखें कि आप इस डिसीजन से मुतासिर होंगे। मैं आपसे कहूँ 100 रुपये निकालिए, कुछ देर सोचने के बाद निकालेंगे आप, और मैं कहूँ 1 करोड़ रुपया बोल दीजिए, आप 100 करोड़ बोल देंगे। तो ज़मानी जमा खर्च में और एक्चुअल खर्च में बहुत फ़र्क होता है। ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए। आपकी लर्निंग जब अच्छी होगी जब आप उसको दिल पे लेके करेंगे। चलिए, एनीवे, बाय द वे, ऑल आंसर्स आर इनकरेक्ट एंड आई विल टेल यू व्हाई योर आंसर्स आर इनकरेक्ट। आपको सिर्फ इतना कह रहा हूँ कि जवाब गलत हैं, आप सोचिएगा क्यों गलत हैं। आप जवाब देने से मत घबराइए, जवाब बिल्कुल दीजिए। और ये जब जितने लोगों ने सी लिखा वो बिल्कुल गलत, जितने लोगों ने ए लिखा वो बिल्कुल गलत। आप ये कह सकते हैं कि जिन्होंने बी लिखा वो सही है, क्या कह सकते हैं ऐसा?
So we cannot say that.
वो भी गलत ही लग रहे हैं। इसका मतलब तुमने क्या जवाब लिखा, तुम समझते हो कि डी होना चाहिए था जवाब? कोई बात नहीं, कोई आपको मैं थोड़ा सा क्लू दे रहा हूँ, उसके बाद में विल कंटिन्यू टुमारो, जो कि दूसरी क्लास का टाइम हो गया। असेट्स आपने लिखा सी इज बेटर, उसके एसेट्स 3 हैं, लायबिलिटीज 1 हैं। क्योंकि आप अननेसेसरी एसेट्स रखना चाहेंगे जबकि आपको सिर्फ 1 रुपया पे करना है, तो 3 रुपये आपके पास होगा, वो अच्छा है, या आप 2 रुपये कहीं और खर्च कर लें, अपने बेटर यूज कर लें उसका। हाँ, तो इसका मतलब 3 नहीं होना चाहिए जरूर। आपको महीने में 5,000 रुपये घर से आते हैं, और पर्स में आप कितने पैसे लेके चलते हैं? जितने की जरूरत होती है उतनी तो है। रोजाना पर्स में 5,000
Yes, sir. The amount we need, like for
the amount
investing.
that you need on day to day basis उतना लेके चलते हैं, बाकी कहीं और रखते हैं। Anyway, we will continue tomorrow. Okay, right?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
We may close our class now.
Thank you, sir.
All right? Because you may be another class must